Well, it's been a doozy of a month, and we have a lot to talk about on the market update for real estate with a month ending in September. And, I'm just going to jump right into Simcoe County because honestly, it has the biggest data set that we can look at, and it'll give us the best indication of what's actually happening in the market. All right. So, all the new listings for the month of September is up 11% year over year and 19% August to September. So this is that fall bump that we normally see where September and October see a little bit of a lift over the August numbers. And you can also see the month over month trend is up in sales. So, but what was actually surprising is across Simcoe County and most of the micro communities that we're going to look at saw a bump of 6% year over year in sales. So that is a really good indication because what's happening is we're seeing our months of inventory, it's slowing down. It's not climbing as fast as it was previously. So although we have all these new listings coming on market, we're seeing a really big lift in the year over year sales. Now, that being said, the year over year sales price has slid to its lowest level since we've seen in February of 2021. As the market was surging up, this is the lowest level we have seen it in 4 years. So that's an amazing statistic to keep in mind. So if you're a buyer, you might be considering that this is the time to take a look at a property. And I just want to show you another piece of data here. And this is why, all right? So if you're a buyer, what we've seen in Simcoe County, the month over month sales have dropped 40% in March, 33% in April, 23%. And you can see this trend, 9%, 7%, 1% in August, and 2% in September. So these month over month prices are dropping, but we're hitting a headwind now. It's getting to the point of where people are starting to buy again. We saw that volume, the number of transactions going up, but we're also seeing the price slow down in the drop of prices in Simcoe County. And when we look at the year over year sales, like we said, it's 6% year over year that we've seen the decrease, but there has been that steady year over year decrease that we've seen each and every month. Now, when we take a look at our volume of sales in Simcoe County, right here, which is 756, our 10-year rolling average, which means that over 10 years, we'll see peaks and valleys that will happen in real estate. But our 10-year rolling average for that is actually 1,011 sales. So we're 23% off our 10-year rolling average when it comes to the volume of sales. And if we go back to 2015, Simcoe County had 50,000 less people, 30,000 less homes. So currently we have more homes, more people, and lots of less sales, 23% less than what happened in 2015. So does this mean that there's pent up demand? Highly likely there's pent up demand. What does it mean as far as am I timing my purchase for the bottom? I mean, we seem to be getting the data that says we're probably getting close to that point. So if you're in the market and you're looking for a long-term hold, there's never a bad time to buy. If you're an investor, you might start considering coming back to the market specifically. Let's dive into some of the details though when we jump into Midland. Midland did see an increase in total number of sales, a decrease in listings, and as a result, the months of inventory actually dropped. Sales price in Midland did fall quite considerably, honestly. That's because we saw a lot of houses in that 450 to 500 price range that sold very quickly. So we're seeing a lot of buyers come back to the market. Penetanguishene saw a very similar trend. It saw an increase in listings, an increase in sales. Now, I take this with a little grain of salt, that massive decrease in price. That's only because we had 15 sales over the course of the month. One large sale, one really small sale can skew the actual median sales prices. So we take that with a little bit of grain of salt with the Penetang numbers. Tiny Township, again, following that trend, increased in listings, increased in sales by 78%. This is the biggest lift Tiny has seen, and it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air for Tiny because now we're seeing the inventory drop back down to pretty much normal, provincial normal levels right now in that 6 to 8 months of inventory. We have not seen that in Tiny in years, pretty much since that decrease in prices happened at the bottom of 2022 sort of thing. So the first time in a long time that we've seen kind of normal inventory levels in Tiny Township. So that's good news. Tay, very small inventory levels that sold through, only 9 sales. That's going to skew our data substantially, including the months of inventory, because we saw a lot of listings come to market, and then the months of inventory just got skewed wildly in Tay as a result. Barrie is a pretty good sampling of people in sales that we're looking at. So new listings were up 12%, sales were up 2%, days on market were down 4%. Our inventory levels are still in that buyer's market, but the median sales price, it did drop by 7%. So that trend is absolutely continuing everywhere we look, with exception here in Collingwood. Collingwood saw an increase in overall listings, a decrease in sales, but still a good sample size. Its inventory levels increased, obviously, as a result of the sales coming down, but we saw less days on market and an increase in the average selling price in Collingwood. So that could be an indicator that Collingwood is seeing a little bit of a reprieve as well. But Wasaga Beach, following a very similar trend, it had an increase in sales, a decrease in price. Aurelia, increase in sales, decrease in price, and that's what we see in Simcoe County, the increase in sales and a decrease in price. So what we want to do next is we want to pay attention closely to October, because this is typically the end of the active market for 2025. As soon as the snow flies, we see a steep decrease in the number of transactions that happen. But 2 years ago, we didn't have any snow until like February, and the market was busy all the way through till January, the end of January. So if we don't have a lot of snow, you may still be in an opportunity to shop and get a great deal, because there's less competition that are shopping during the winter. So if you have any questions when it comes to real estate or data around real estate, or you want to know just what your house is worth in the current market, don't hesitate to reach out. And if you're thinking of selling, think of this. When you sell low, you're buying low. When you sell high, you're buying high. So timing the market is not necessarily advantageous to everybody. So do it when it's right for you. Thanks so much, everybody. I'm Michael. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.